Hi everyone, this is Heather Carlisle. Welcome. As always, know yourself, treasure life, and love others. Tonight I want to talk about our passions, the things that we love, the things that excite us. Because so often, especially in these times when people are devoted to hard work or they're not motivated and they just don't have energy, I'll ask them what they love to do, what their passions are. And today, as it was many years ago, I don't know. And so when I started asking people that, I thought to myself, well, what are my passions? And I was disconcerted. It was a few decades ago, that I couldn't make a list of passions that I had any longer than 4 or 5 things. Well, that didn't seem right. Well, it wasn't. We need to know what we love. And it was very interesting recently talking with a couple where he had been kind of invited or told, you need to talk about your feelings. And he was very troubled by that. And I said, well, it's not really interesting to talk about our feelings. What we want to do is talk about what we care about. Because when we care about something, we have a passion for it to some greater or lesser degree. Passion is a sweet thing that you just love, or it's like running through the gate and skipping and jumping with your hands in the air, coming down a roller coaster, or loving the smell of chocolate chip cookies in your house. Thousands and thousands of things. So I thought, I need to help people figure out what it is they like or the area of things that they like. And it was sad that I needed to help them, but it was fun. I mean, isn't it fun when you want to think about, okay, then what do I really like to do? Recently, I had a lady come and see me. Her kids were grown and they were doing great. She was divorced. She loved her job, but she was depressed for various reasons. Well, one of the things was she didn't have a hobby. She didn't do fun things for herself. And we found, through questioning and exploring, we found that she really liked to paint. And then she found a painting class, just a casual one where people go and for fun do a painting. She came back to her session the next week and she was just glowing. She was so delighted. She had such a good time, and it was going to be obviously something that she kept in her life. So today is a special day. Now, I usually don't wear a t-shirt when I'm working, but this is very special. I'm wearing the t-shirt representing one of my passions. And this is not something I ever planned, but it was brought to me. This is the t-shirt for Wild and Free Mushing, the sled dog racer in Alaska. And today, of all days, was my personal Rose Bowl. It was the end of the Yukon Quest, the most difficult dog sled race in the world. And my favorite musher came in first. He won the race with all 14 of his dogs healthy and happy and tails wagging by the end of 1,000 miles. Now tell me that isn't interesting. So, to Wild and Free Mushing and to Brent Sass and Ida Mortensen, they won today. I toast you. So of course I'm going to show you a little bit about them. But first, I want you to think about your passions. Maybe you already know them, but you don't have them in your life. Maybe you are going and blowing and you've got your passion and the things that you care about fully in your life, as best as they can be right now. Or maybe you're seeing a son or a granddaughter where they're just not interested or not motivated, and then how to help them find their passions. So I wanted to show you just a little bit. I put together a Passion Locator. It's a workbook, a study guide to prime the pump, to help people, and prime the pump is an old term, but it helps things get going. So I created my Passion Locator. Here's the cover. I just love this little book. And here it is on my website so that you can download it from here. It's learn and experience 4 passion fulfillment exercises in the book and more than that. So I'll just show you a little piece. It's got oodles and oodles of pages. So you can see that there is a list of hundreds of things in my Passion Locator that people really like. And one of the ways that I help people think through what they really like is this particular exercise. And if you like, just email me or give me, text me, tell me where to send it, and I'll send you the handouts or the links to the handouts. Oh, look it. I've got, hi, it's me. Hi, honey. Thank you. Cool. Because I think that's Jack that just typed to me. It's hard for us to find what we want to put in our life that we're passionate about, that we really love. I mean, we like a lot of things, but the best idea is to, because we have limited time, for that time in your life, what is it that fits and works beautifully? So, for example, when you have children of various ages, you want to be with your kids. You want to have fun with your kids. So you want to take your kids with you on your passions. And so, you know, when they're 14 or 15 years old, maybe you guys go out sailing and sail, just the 2 of you or the 5 of you on a small sailing boat. Maybe you go and do deep sea fishing. And when your children are 3 or 4 years old, well, maybe that's when you go to the park and help them discover nature or animals or words. And that's your passion at that moment, because it's so exciting to be a parent or to be a grandparent or take care of a child and be the teacher and, of course, the teacher of the things that you love most. Passing on your passion to them feeds your own passion as well, right? So when there are kids around, I believe it's critically important that we do really wonderful things with our kids, and so that our kids can see us do something because it makes our eyes shine. So I have several friends who are in the barbershop quartet world. Well, maybe their children don't go with them to sing with them, but they watch them perform, they watch them dance, they watch them have costumes. They see something, wow, I want to be a grown-up someday. That's one of the things that I think is important. That I live a life where the kids look at me and say, wow, I want to do that. I want to be a grown-up. That's not typical, is it? So I'll just put that there for you to think about. But this is one way where I help us kind of bring back in some clues, because I really trust our lives. And those clues are planted on the journey of life, starting from when we're wee little kids. And so this one is these 5 different sections of your life. In your childhood, between birth and 12, what did you love to do? Well, I know my favorite thing was my cat, Blackie. I loved Blackie. I also had a voracious appetite for reading. I loved my Jack and Jill magazines. So I've thought this through, and so of course I love reading, I love magazines, I have cats. It's right here, right? The seeds were planted way little. And then this one, adolescent fun and play, 13 to 21. And these are things that I'm very cautious here, and I want you to be cautious too. We don't want our kids raising our kids. We don't want teenagers going off by themselves and pushing away the adults. That's not healthy. It's not good for them. They need to be with groups of kids doing cool stuff, watched over by cool adults. So between 13 to 21, well, what about a trip abroad? Or a band trip to the next town? Or you help them on student council, or they're in Boy Scouts, Girl Guides, and you're there at the meetings with them. As you know, dozens and dozens of things. And it's important that we involve ourselves in that. So if you're a scout leader and you discover that you just love making fires and gathering wood and cooking on the fire, you may not have known that before you were with your son. But that means, I think I'm going to cultivate outdoor cooking. You just never know. But the seeds become planted when we're attracted to things, when they appeal to us. And then the first adulthood, 30 to 40. What were you up to in those days? I am not a fan of, quote unquote, a lot of spectator sports because I want people to do stuff. Now, my sport with wild and free mushing, I'm definitely a spectator because I am not going to Alaska. I came from Canada. I don't need to go back there. But let me show you this. This is a little piece of a dog sled coming in. This is Brent Sass and his wild and free mushing dogs. Isn't that cool? They all got their jackets. It's the frozen north. And it's a race with all kinds of help. And these fabulous, fabulous dogs. Now, am I going to raise dogs? No. But do I love watching all the things that happens with the dogs? It's my passion. It's that's my spectator sport. So I thought I'd just show you a little bit of that. Happiness and fun from 40 to the present, whatever the present is. Then what patterns or repetitive elements do you notice in your delights and joys? And you may be disconcerted by noticing that you haven't had enough, or that the ones that you've chosen haven't been worth it. So my little talk today on the Passion Locator is to remind you, you have a choice. And my Passion Locator is constructed to give you a whole list of stuff, a lot of it which you really don't care about, some of it kinda, some of it, well, wow, if I could someday. And some of them I'm already doing that, but not to the degree that would really make my eyes shine. So I want you to think about this. My Passion Locator can help you if you need it. But it's really important that we spend some time thinking about, when do I smile? When do I get a twinkle in my eye? When am I happy to be around? And what is it that I do that's different from my day-to-day work, the things that I do with my family, the things that mark me as a human being? Those are very important. Sometimes we get wrapped around, especially in the middle of our lives, being productive, being professional, or being a hard worker, or paying the bills. We can do all of those things, but there needs to be space for something that just makes your heart warm. I recently encountered a young woman and I was quite delighted because I happen to be from that generation where I needed to learn to sew, and I sewed some of my own clothes. I did a lot of sewing in my younger years. And embroidery, I love doing, fine needlework. I don't do much of it because I don't have time for it anymore these days. I will when I'm in my 90s, right? But I found a young girl who was fascinated by that and really wanted to learn it. Fortunately, there's the Quilters Guild. There's the Needleworkers Guild. There are people in pockets, various places, who have a passion for that and have a delight in doing it together in a group. Here in Dallas, I know there's a fantastic place, it's called Wood World, where master carpenters and joiners give lessons in this large place with these exotic woods and wonderful tools, just mentoring boys and men and women also, of course, how to build things with wonderful wood. Right next door to it, around the corner, is the Rock Barrel with all of the stuff for jewelry makers, and I love that too. So those fun, creative things that are not about earning a paycheck, although they can be, it's nice to season our life with those things. Otherwise, sometimes, you look back and you say, in the last decade, what did I do other than work? And, do my day-to-day tasks and watch out for the kids and all of that. As an adult, what is it that marks me with intelligence, knowledge, passion, delight, and my little motto, know yourself, and then treasure life. Treasure it. You can do all kinds of things, but what are the things that you personally treasure? I'm curious if this is inspiring you in some way. So we can usually connect our passion with something that's self-expressive, that uses our purpose and mission, our talents, and usually in some way where we give back to the world, or we make something or do something for the world. Recently I took the time to finish a painting of my cat, Casey, and I took it to our veterinarian on International Cat Day. He didn't even know it was International Cat Day, but he loved the painting and he put it on the wall in his office immediately. Well, I gave it to him, and I did that because he saved Casey's life. Casey would have died had he not tended over him. Him and his staff took care of Casey for 5 days in the hospital. So that just made my day, and I'll never forget it. It was just a little thing, driving down to his office and giving it to him. But it marked my month doing something that special and that passionate. In essence, I have a passion for my cat, for my veterinarian, and for painting. So there it came all together. Being cared for, my cat. I was marked by cats when I was a little girl, and painting, which I love to do. So what have you done recently where you've taken your passions? Do you notice patterns? Do you notice things that weave together? And things that even when I don't have the time to work on something that's a really cool project, it's known now, research shows us that anticipation is almost as good as when we get to the real thing. And so, like, for example, if your partner, your beloved, your spouse invited you out for Valentine's Day dinner, having the dinner with your beloved is wonderful. And Jack always gives me the choice. He says, do you want it to be a surprise or do you want anticipation? Most of the time, I want the anticipation because I want to look forward to it. I want to think about it, where we're going. I want to think about what I'm going to wear. And all those minutes that I spend anticipating and thinking about it, that's part of the pleasure and the passion too. So, like when I did the painting for Dr. Neiman, I had all kinds of pleasure, driving in the car, thinking about finishing the painting, going to get the frame, sitting in my studio in the quiet, really enjoying finishing the painting because I knew now why I was finishing it. Not only because I love my cat, but because I was doing it to express my appreciation. So oftentimes our passions are associated with creating something that benefits another person. A little piece I will also share with you. This is the website for my favorite musher, Bent Sass. Look at those puppies. Does that make you smile or what? Just adorable. And there he is winning, coming in the gate for the Yukon Quest. That was it was 2007. Today, 2019, he was the winner, bringing in his dogs. And of course, I know the names of all the dogs and a little bit about their personalities. So that's one of the things that makes my eyes shine, is knowing about these wonderful dogs and people that live in the wilderness of Alaska doing this wonderful, passionate thing. Isn't that cool? But that's my passion. Oh, you didn't see it, did you? I didn't bring it online. There it is. Look at them. Look at them having fun. Isn't that beautiful? Takes me away. Makes me smile. Takes me away from my work. Isn't that cute? And there he is. The Yukon Quest. And it was today. He won the Yukon Quest today. So I was cheering that on. I was watching the live broadcast. And being delighted in some way to be a supporter of something that rare and that meaningful, really. So I'm wondering if this little conversation I'm having with you is giving you new ideas. I want it to. Knowing ourselves, we need to know our passions and our downshifts, the way that we take a break, the way that we revitalize ourselves and give ourselves energy. Treasure life. Don't let time go by just kind of halfway. Treasure it. Make sure that you have something that makes you smile, makes your eyes shine, that you love to share with your spouse, your friends, and especially your kids. And so often, sharing things with our kids quickens us with something that we want to do even more. If you go to the big train show and see all the layouts of trains, maybe you're inspired that you really want to do something like that at home. I know someone who built a train track and it was just unreal. I saw this video. The train track ended up going all through the house, around the outside of the house, along the sidewalk, and back into the house and over various things. It was fantastic. It was unforgettable. Just somebody got an idea to do something outrageously fun. We can all do that in our own way, whether it's small and takes only a little bit of time, or pretty super duper like that guy with his train. So I was curious. One of the places that we can go for inspiration, and I know that right now the internet is available and we can go anywhere, and sometimes that's overwhelming, but there's a piece of data that we get when we go to a bookstore that has a big magazine rack. Because magazines to be published regularly means there are subscribers. There are people who are interested in that topic. And that they're regularly wanting to learn more or have more ideas or stay in touch with that particular community of people who are like-minded and share the same interests. So I went to a bookstore and very carefully I took photographs of every part of each one of those magazine racks, and it was a nice big bookstore too. Isn't it interesting that when I looked at those photographs carefully and I typed the list of interests represented on those magazine racks, I came up with 253 different topics. Isn't that cool? So there are people involved with passions of all kinds, from political science to gardening, from anime to art, from motorcycles to cat fancy. It's fascinating. Now, most of them I wasn't interested in, but then of course I had to look at some of them before I left because some of them were absolutely fascinating. So if you want to take yourself on a little field trip and just kind of take the data on what it is that interests you, you might go to a bookstore and look at a magazine rack. Also, of course, the internet, but the internet is so huge. Unless you know a specific topic that you're going to work on, you're not going to get kind of like a smorgasbord like that, which is why I thought it was a fun idea to do. So I recommend it to you. But you can also get my Passion Locator, because that list is actually in the end of my Passion Locator. So if we look at if we look at this, which is some of the pages for my Passion Locator, there's a whole, I'll show you where it is. Look at that, 3 solid pages just from the magazines on the book rack. So if you want to play with something like that, I also have videos on YouTube talking about how to find your passions as well. So I wanted to introduce that to you because I'm excited about my Passion Locator, and it's, you know, just doing it that only on its own gives you, I'm just looking where it is. I think I already put it away. Right here. So it gives you the time. You take the time away to just go through it and kind of flood your mind with beautiful things and fun things and interesting things people do. And then narrow it down to the patterns and the lists of things that you think, maybe not now, maybe someday. But to know yourself, treasure life, and love others. And knowing your passions and pulling them into your life in various ways over the span of your life is really important for your health and for the health of your family and everyone around you. I hope this has been inspiring. I hope it's got you thinking about some of the things that maybe you've already done and that you're thinking, oh, I'd like to do more of that again, only at a more professional level. Whenever people are creative, and some people say, well, I'm not creative. I disagree. Everyone's creative. We all like creating, building, repurposing, creating something for somebody. Doesn't necessarily have to be the typical quote-unquote fine arts. But whenever we're creating something, it's another world, another part of our brain, and another part of who we are that we deserve to have. And also, of course, I'm motivated by wanting to be a good role model, wanting to be one of those people who is mentoring our next generation for what's good, what's healthy. I also understand that there are people who don't work and who are too lazy and who just fritter away their time. Again, hard workers on one end, people who are depressed and unmotivated on the other end, they both need passion. They both need, the hard worker needs the relief and going into another part of their brain. The unmotivated person, they need something in life that makes life interesting enough for them to want to be energized and show up. You and I know that depression can be a lot more complex than that, but that's one of the necessary things that we all should have to know ourselves, treasure life, and love others, especially love yourself. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for any questions that you want to send my way. I'm always interested in that. So, talk to you next time.